So hello guys, as a lot of you have known, there's a Japanese version of the game was come out. So I'm just going to be showing the differences between both versions, why a lot of players have started transferring to the other one, and help you make your own mind. So there are a bunch of things that I'm going to be pointing out throughout this video, and you're going to be able to see big differences. So I'm just going to start showing a few things that we currently have just to point out how they're going to differ in the other version. So what I noticed were the biggest differences were, first of all, on the manager window. I'm not going to say what they are, but I'm just going to point out a few things just for you to remember those. So as you notice, we have 6 manager slots, a sub, and a main. The player book basically looks like this, with a lot of Season 1, Season 2s, and currently 3 legends and a bunch of special players down here. And again, on the special cards, we don't have a lot of 4-star evolutions of Gatekeeper and stuff like that. Again, all of this is going to make more sense when I transfer. So one last thing I just want to point out, a lot of you already know this version, so I don't feel like I need to explain it too much in detail, is this is the basic price of packs. I'm in Canada. The account is set up to show me what price I would pay. So again, for you in the US, with those even better prices, then again, when you look at the translation of money, it might not even be the best deal. I just want to point out that for around 500 crystals, it's going to cost me $70. And this does not include the tax that will be added after the purchase. Now I'm just going to be switching, and as we can see, I just need to find exactly where I put it. Yeah, so the other app has a different icon. It's a bit more complicated to install, and if anyone needs, I'm going to show them how to do it. So if you look at this, it's the very basic layout, the exact same one we currently have. To not make you waste any time, I've skipped the tutorial, but as in the other one, there's a tutorial. They're very generous on the early mail rewards for joining the game. We get a lot of crystal, we get a lot of money. Just for the fun of it, at the end of the stream, I'm going to do a draw. So this is the first thing you're going to notice that is a huge difference. There is only 3 slots. There is no sub slots. So I'm going to say I really like those sub slots. As you saw, I have 4 5-star managers. I mean 6 5-star managers. So I'd say that is one of the drawbacks. The good thing is it's going to stop a lot of players from having those paid managers. So in a way, it's a bit more free to play in an aspect that's going to make you think much more detailedly in what managers you're choosing. In the settings, I cannot change the language. Or maybe I can, but sadly, I understand Japanese, but I cannot read it. So since it isn't written in the oral version of Japanese, I can't actually read anything. So I'm as lost as a lot of you guys. So don't feel bad if you don't understand what's written. So now I'm going to talk to you about the player book. So the first thing you're going to notice is that there is no EE bar on top. And also there is no skin select thing. So maybe they're added after. I'm not completely sure on that. So the skill layout is exactly the same. The layout here is the same. The evolves cost, I believe, are the same. I'm going to just check on a 5-star for us all to be sure. Yes, they are the same. So on this level, what I noticed that was very different is that Season 2 doesn't exist. So what does that mean is all the players of Season 2 have been removed. So some of those Cancers players and all those players you just never get, they're no longer there. And what has also been removed is a lot of the players that the community has been hitting on for a very long time. So when I'm going to be talking about those players, there's somewhere Season 2, like for example, I'm going to be talking about the Wormwind Miho. I currently don't even remember where she's supposed to be. So I guess I'm not the best guide for that. But as you've noticed, as I went down the list, there was no Miho. So Miho is gone. Bye-bye. And there's some Season 1 that a lot of people have been complaining about who are also gone. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about our great friend Virgil. That is one of the players that I use. Oh, actually he's here. Ignore everything I said. I didn't notice him the first time. So some season ones have been lost. I'm not sure exactly which ones. Very few still. All the season two are gone. There's one legend less per element as those were season two. So if I go down light, all I'm going to see is Valkyrie, Beth, and Duke. There is no other legend. So this is going to impact a lot of gameplay because a lot of us were using some season two legends. In my case, I'm running a Vanchi, so this is kind of something different for me. What this means is you're going to be able to build your team much faster because everything's scoutable, and there's going to be much less limitations. Now, two of the parts that are going to be different are going to be, well, first of all, if I went all the way to the bottom, you might have noticed there are no special players. So that I'm imagining that to evolve special players now, it's not going to be using minion matches. Again, this is the early days of the game, and I don't understand Japanese, so I can't perfectly explain that. On this aspect, there is something who I don't know what it means, but I'm guessing it's gonna be OP. Yes, you saw right, a 6-star rabbit. So my one question is to you guys who actually can read Japanese, does this mean whatever you use becomes sub 5, or does that mean this is the only kind you can use on Legend? Because that would make legendary upgrades really frustrating and much more worthwhile. For the rest, going down the list, there's going to be nothing really special on this column. And now the huge difference, and the reason why a lot of people are extremely angry, is because we've been asking for a major content update, and the last one was the club match, who is other crap. I'm sorry to say it, but that is what it is. We are constantly matched with teams who are superior to us. I have a friend who has an A team. He's usually facing AAA. I have an SS team, and I'm facing Triple S that are very high on the ratings to start with. So it's impossible to play that. Now, a major update that you have here, you don't have in the other version. Again, I'm gonna insist that this is one of the reasons why a lot of people are frustrated, is the stone revamp. So it's not one line an element anymore, but it's 2 lines. So if you actually do the math, there's a lot more stones. There's 4 more stones per element, 2 more rare stones per element. From the translations that have been given to me, it seems that a bunch of stones have had their skill revamped. So again, I cannot read them, but some of them have had changes to their effects, making them more valuable. One of those, from what I understood, was maybe Ignition Catalyst. Again, I can't read it, so I can't really say. So if you can read this language, it's actually a really good deal. Just to show the difference, I'm going to switch back to the other one. And you're going to see right here the difference in quantity of stones. As you see, there isn't that many. It's nice. I'm not saying this bad, but I'm saying sometimes when you got players with only 3 times the same color slot, the third stone is usually a problem. For example, Isla and the Light Goalkeepers if you don't have a legendary stone. Unique. Okay, I keep getting those mixed up in stone names. So if I go back to the other one, this is one of the major changes who allows a complete revamp of the game. Because having different stones mean you're going to be able to see new builds, new ways of playing. And this is something that we've been asking in the current version for a long time. Now, some players that you already know are still here, and some players have been added in each element. This is one of them. So on that aspect, it isn't such a big deal. That just a few of them are really nice. So we're pushing towards having those back. So that's one of the things that's pretty nice. Now, on a skin level, they seem to be basically the same. I can't really tell the difference. Even if we go to Victoria, they basically kept the newer version of the skin, so at least they didn't give them the skins that they took away from us early. So that's on a player book level. So just for the draw rate, they're following the current new way. Since there's only one version of the season, there's only one mileage draw. So currently they're even having some sort of event. No, actually this seems to be the regular way. So I'm just going to do a 10+1 draw for the sake of it. I like how the touchscreen part is in English for no logical reason whatsoever. So yes, everything is gonna be new, and again, I'm thinking maybe I'll do it again. It depends what I do. A lot of people I know are re-rolling legends because you start with just so much crystal. It's actually very easy to even get one, maybe even two at the beginning. So this is just going to be a little bit annoying to pass through. And you can use your current account to log into this. If need be, I'll make a video exactly on how you can access it and make your own decision. As a person who likes anime and all that stuff, they use a lot of very popular voice actors. So sadly, on the global version, we will not be getting the audio from what has been said. One of the big names I'm gonna say is gonna be if you watch One Piece, there's gonna be the voice of Usopp. I think he's doing Sam or someone else. There's a bunch of actually very popular senyu that have been used in this. So that's another thing a lot of people are very happy about and sad in the current version. So on a pack price, as I was saying, it's going to be much more interesting. So this is just a random thing I opened. So if we look right here, 400 crystal, 40 dimension, 300k gold, 7 points for $32. It has changed the currency to the equivalent of Canadian dollars. So I'm just going to point back to what the price of those would have been in the old version. So starting new would be so cheap for paid players that the whales are going to be all able to transfer at a minimum cost. A random pack of around that value would be between these two. So you do see that for $40 we have 2 tickets, 100,000, 30, and on the other side for I'm just mixing them up. They'll have the same icon. On the other side, it's for $32 for 100 more crystal, 10 more, 200 more, 5 more. So already you're gonna start seeing a difference. And now the one that a lot of people are gonna know, the one pack that is the reference, the one we all always buy, is gonna be this one. So this is for $546 if you're running it through this version. And if you're running it again, I'm not applying taxes, who should be applied, as those are relevant. I'm not sure I can see the price, sadly. No, I'm sorry I can't see the price for that, so it's not the best comparison. Um, but again, you're gonna just see a big difference because paying $546, I personally pay $11 for it. So I do believe that having basically half off packs on half the stuff is something great. So the Scouts version, nothing has changed whatsoever. You can unlock with crystals. You can roll as always. Here, for example, this is our great friend Kevin. They basically tried to keep a lot of the skills similar. So even if you don't perfectly understand it, you're going to be able to use your current knowledge. A few little things have been revamped, but not that many. So now turning to the next page, this is basically the same. I can't currently access them because I don't have the rank, and I'm just not interested in going any further. So I'm going to be maybe trying it out a little bit later on, and I'm going to tell you what big difference there are. But having a lot of endgame players that you saw a lot gone, especially the Season 2, is going to allow a much more equal gameplay, and we're just all going to be able to scout. So again, I just wanted to point out they have the same scout cost, so that's not really a big deal. Now on this aspect, it's exactly the same way it used to work. So they kept the fact that it was made a little bit nicer. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the same usual options. Nothing special on this front. So the Spirit Stone wise, again, if you look, it's basically the same type of equations. The only thing that seems kind of weird is it doesn't seem there's the same amount of stars. Oh, I didn't actually notice this previously myself. So I'm just going to be going to the player book and check what they say. So actually, there are only 4 star levels in the game now. So I'm guessing, in a way, they have less options on the fact, but upgrading your stones now is going to be so much simpler. Because having a max being a 4 means if you get a 1 and you upgrade it, you can actually go pretty fast. Oh, so this is actually something pretty nice too. I hadn't even noticed. So stones are now capped at 4 stars, making it much easier to upgrade your way to a 4-star. I mean, all you gotta do is find a 2-star or a 3-star, you can pump it up to a 4 and it's done. Compared to the current game, where already getting a 4 or 5-star is hard, but going any higher is basically a nightmare. So I've just found out another thing as I'm talking with you currently. So let's check chat-wise, is there any difference? No, there doesn't seem to be any one of them. As you can see, there's not a lot of receiving item or anything. They're putting up a bunch of events. I can't currently read this. So there's a bit less of those suspicious activities where we see 1,000 people getting stuff. What is the price to upgrade something? Oh, it's 10 right here. So it seems the cost of that is basically the same. Crystal, again, it's just cheaper all around. And again, I'm doing this from a Canadian standpoint. So doing it if you're living in the US or anywhere else is a really great deal. So again, if you want to transfer for that aspect, it's just going to be easier. So those matches, they just didn't change. The Dimension Shop is still here. It's proposing the same things, but the difference is now they're just more valuable because Season 2 doesn't exist. So they're going to be changing that, adding in a new bunch of players. So they're trying to make some sort of division between both versions of the game. So I'm just saying we can also just run both versions at the same time. Pay in one, don't pay in the other. From the translation I've been given of the events, they seem to be very generous for this version of the game. But again, I can't really explain what they do, so this maybe isn't the best thing. So again, a bunch of stuff is being added. We already have a decent amount of stuff. It's pretty nice, but I would say the really big difference is the lack of some of those players you just can't get and you keep seeing on the other side. So actually, you're not forced to pay to get the players you want. And if you want, it's much cheaper. So that's one of the things that is really great about this version. And on top of it, the spirit stones, you just have more choice. So it's no longer going to be this constant reflex fest. And on top of it, the reflex value of the reflex stones are lower than what we're used to. So reflexing people is just not going to be as valuable as it used to be. So again, that is a huge buff, meaning people are going to have to start thinking of other ways to play. And this is going to allow a lot more strategy than that insane reflex midline that has been constantly frustrating us for a long time now. So on top of it, you're going to notice that this slot exists. It might be locked, but it's insinuating that in the near future, they're going to be getting some new unique stones. So again, very frustrating as we haven't had any decent content update in a very long time. And implementing this in our current version of the game wouldn't be as hard as one would think. All you'd need to do is change this page and add some 4, 5, 6-star stones of these versions. At first, it'd be a little bit frustrating, but it wouldn't harm the game in a long time, and it'd finally make players change a few of their mechanics without hurting their current builds. So I'm personally going to say what's the most frustrating part about this version is that it has some new content, some new add-ons, and a lot of things we just currently don't have and are not getting for a really long time. I mean, every update usually feels like a nerf. The Legend update, when they gave them EEs with insane costs, and even on top of that, even EE versions of them are now weaker. Vonchi before the speed limit was much stronger. Celestia seemed stronger before. So a lot of them are just getting weaker as time goes on. There was even some math that was done on the forum explaining how Victoria is very close stat and skill-wise to Beth, who's supposed to be a legendary. So again, this is getting very frustrating in the current game. There's just one last thing I wanted to check. Exactly how do stone slots work? Do they have more stone slots if they're legends? No. Okay, because someday I kind of like to see the 5th slot on some sort of player. I'm just saying we all kind of want to see that. I don't know for the EEs. I just can't check it. There's nowhere for me to check. So we'll eventually see that when people are going to be posting more and more videos about this. But again, I just find it frustrating that we're not getting any good content updates if we're barely getting any. I mean, every update is a nerf, the passer nerf, the legend nerf, the club much revamp where they destroyed the matchmaking. So it would be kind of nice to see an update who would push players to do something more than force them towards some sort of meta or just feel like their team once again has been nerfed all around. So I hope that this has helped you understand what is the difference between the current and the Japanese version. Less players, more stones, no season 2, everything's scoutable, everything's cheaper, and just less manager slot, but that kind of works with the fact there's less managers whatsoever. Also, what we're going to notice is in the special category, there are no special players. So we can imagine they're going to try to not follow the special purchase event for managers. So that might even be another plus you're going to notice. So in my opinion, I think I'm actually going to go in this version. And I'm going to see at the same time how the current version is going. A lot of people are re-rolling. So they just create an account. They do that first roll. They draw a little bit more. They see if they can get some sort of legend, and if they don't, they just recreate an account and reroll until they have both legends of an element. So this is something that a lot of people are doing currently, and I would advise you to do the same if you want to transfer. So I might be recreating another account. You can use your current account using the other version and log in. Nothing goes wrong, or you can just make a new one. So again, I hope this has helped people understand how it works, what are the differences, and actually why, in my opinion, this is just a better version all around because it's finally putting variety that we've been asking for so long. So thank you for listening to this. Give your opinions in the comments. And do you prefer the current version or are you pushing towards transferring? I know a lot of players have transferred. Again, with the current state of the global version, I am also considering transferring. And if you need any help, I'll post later on a video on how to get yourself on the Japanese server in case you don't know or you're not able to do it. There are a lot of ways to pull this off, and it will be very easy for me to teach it. So have a good day and just give your opinion on what you think is better.